Okay, so you may edit na lang project implementation.
Sorry ako.
Okay, so project implementation in government setting represent one of the most critical phases in the public administration cycle where approved policies, programs, and plans are translated into concrete public services and measurable societal outcomes. Unlike private sector, project implementation, government projects operate within a highly structured environment characterized by legal mandates, regulatory compliance, public accountability, and political oversight. And these projects may include infrastructure development, digital transformation initiatives, healthcare programs, education reforms, and social protection services. From a doctor in public administration perspective, project implementation is not merely a technical exercise, but a governance functions that reflects the state's capacity to deliver public value, ensure efficient research utilization, and fulfill its constitutional and institutional responsibilities to citizens. Because effective project implementation in government require a comprehensive integration of strategic planning, resource management, stakeholder coordination, risk management, and performance monitoring systems. Public administrator must navigate complex bureaucratic structures, procurement laws, budgetary limitations, and multi-level governance arrangements involving national agencies, local government units, and external stakeholders. Let's say, for example, of course, the implementation of the Department of Public Works and Highway or DPWH infrastructure projects such as national roads construction and flood control programs involves coordination among engineers, procurement officers, local officials, contractors, and community representatives. And this implementation process requires strong administrative leadership, transparent governance mechanism, and evidence-based making to ensure that public projects achieve their intended outcomes efficiently and equitably. At this point, I would like to invite our discussant to present the key principles, frameworks, and operational process involved in project implementation in government setting. So the discussant may focus on the stages of this project implementation, including planning, resource allocation, procurement execution, monitoring, evaluation. And please highlight the challenges encountered in the public sector, implementation such as bureaucratic delays, procurement constraint, stakeholder resistance, and political influences, and provide practical examples from national government agencies, local government units, or international public sectors projects. So your discussion will help deepen our understanding of how effective project implementation strengthens governance capacity and improves public service delivery. Take it away, ma'am.
So, good afternoon po, Doc Mates. Good afternoon po, Doc Abante. So, today I will discuss po about project implementation in government settings po. So, next slide po. So, under project implementation in government settings, so Republic Act 918 po, which is the Government Procurement Reform Act or GPRA. So, Procurement Reform Act GPRA is a Philippine law enacted in 2003 to modernize, standardize, and regulate government procurement. It promotes transparency, accountability, and competitiveness by requiring public bidding for goods, infrastructure, and consulting services across all government branches. So it is an act providing for the modernization, standardization, and regulation of the procurement activities of the government and for other purposes. So key aspects po ng ating RA 9184, ang scope po ito, it applies to all national government agencies, state universities, government-owned and controlled corporations, local government units. For the core principles, it promotes efficiency, economy, and equity in public procurement. Default method po niya is public bidding. It's a required default process to ensure competition. And then alternative methods allowed under specific authorized conditions. Example po nito, limited source bidding, direct contracting, repeat orders, small value procurement, negotiated procurement. So, key bodies establish the government procurement policy, Board, which is the GTPB, to set policies and bids and awards committee or BACO for local implementation. For transparency, mandates the use of Philippine Government Electronic Procurement System, which is yung ating pong PhilGIPS. So the law was designed to prevent corruption and ensure the government gets the best value for its expenditures. The 2016 revised implementing rules and regulations, IRR, provide detailed procedures for implementation. RA 9184 was signed by Her Excellency, former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, on January 10, 2003, and was published on 11 of January 2003 in two newspapers of general nationwide circulation, namely Manila Times and Malaya. So it took effect 15 days after its publication on January 26, 2003. Next slide po. So for Article 1, we have the General Provision section. Short title po nito is this act shall be known as the Government Procurement Reform Act. So under Section 2, Declaration of Policy, it is declared it is the declared policy of the state to promote the ideals of good governance in all its branches, departments, agencies, subdivisions, and instrumentalities, including government-owned and or controlled corporations and local government units. So under Section 3, Governing Principles on Government Procurement, or procurement of the national government, its departments, bureaus, offices, and agencies, including state universities and colleges, government-owned and or controlled corporations, government financial institutions, and local government units shall in cases be governed by these principles. So for transparency in the procurement process and in the implementation of procurement contracts, and then competitiveness by extending equal opportunity to enable private contracting parties who are eligible and qualified to participate in public bidding. And streamlined procurement process that will uniformly apply to all government procurement. Then system of accountability where both the public officials directly or indirectly involved in the procurement process as well as in the implementation of procurement contracts and the private parties that deal with government are, when warranted by circumstances, investigated and held liable for their actions relative thereto. And for public monitoring of the procurement process and the implementation of awarded contracts with the end in view of guaranteeing that these contracts are awarded pursuant to the provisions of this act and its implementing rules and regulations, and that all these contracts are performed strictly according to specifications. So this act shall apply to procurement of infrastructures, infrastructure projects, goods and consulting services, regardless of source of funds, whether local or foreign, by all branches and instrumentalities of government, its department offices and agencies, including government or controlled corporation and local government units, subject to provision of Commonwealth Act number 138, any treaty or international or executive agreement affecting the subject matter of this act, to which the Philippine government is a signatory, shall be observed. Then next slide po for Section 5. Definition of terms for purposes of this act. The following terms or words and phrases shall mean and be understood as follows. So we have the ABC, or what we call the approved budget for the contract. So refers to the budget of the contract duly approved by the head of the procuring entity as provided for in the General Appropriation Act and or continuing appropriations in the case of national government agencies. So the corporate budget for the contract approved by the governing boards pursuant to EO number 518 series of 1979 in the case of government-owned and or controlled corporations, government financial institutions, and state universities and colleges, and the budget for the contract approved by the respective sanggunian in the case of local government units. So letter B, we have the BAC, or yung lagi tinatawag na BAC. So BAC refers to Bids and Awards Committee established in accordance with Article 5 of this Act. Then, later on, itatakal po natin kung sino po yung mga back members. Then, for letter C, we have bidding documents. So, for bidding documents, it refers to documents issued by the procuring entity as the basis for bids, furnishing all information necessary for a prospective bidder to prepare a bid for the goods, infrastructure, projects, and consulting services to be provided. Then we have letter D. Bid refers to signed offer or proposal submitted by a supplier, manufacturer, distributor, contractor, or consultant in response to bidding documents. Then letter E, competitive bidding, ang tawag po natin ito. Then it refers to method of procurement which is open to participation by any interested party and which consists of the following processes. So, from advertisement, ipopose sa field reps, then pre-bid conference, magkakaroon ng pre-bid conference, eligibility, screen po yung mga pinasa na documents ng prospective bidders, receipt and opening of bids, then evaluation of bids, post-qualification, and award of contract, the specific requirements and mechanics of which shall be defined in the IRR to be promulgated under this act. Then we have the letter F. We have the consulting services. So these refer to services for infrastructure projects and other types of projects or activities of the government requiring adequate external technical and professional expertise that are beyond the capability and or capacity of the government to undertake, such as but not limited to advisory and review services, management and related services, or technical services and special studies. Then letter G, the GETS, or refers to the government electronic procurement system as provided in the section 8 of this act. So later on, itakal din po natin. Then we also have, next slide po, letter H. We have goods. Refer to all items, supplies, materials, and general support services, except consulting services and infrastructure projects. So which may be needed in the transaction of public businesses or in the pursuit of any government undertaking, project, or activity, whether in the nature of equipment, furniture, stationary materials for construction, or personal property of any kind, including non-personal or contractual services such as the repair and maintenance of equipment and furniture, as well as tracking, hauling, janitorial, security, and related or analogous services, as well as procurement of materials and supplies provided by the procuring entity for such services. Then letter I, we have the GPPB. It refers to Government Procurement Policy Board established in accordance with Article 20 of this Act. Then letter J, head of the procuring entity. It refers to the head of the agency or his duly authorized official for national government agencies. The governing board or its duly authorized official for government-owned and controlled corporations or the local chief executive for local government units, provided that in the department, office, or agency where the procurement is decentralized. So the head of each decentralized unit shall be considered as the head of procuring entity, subject to the limitations and authority delegated by the head of the department, office, or agency. Then we have the infrastructure projects. So infrastructure projects include the construction, improvement, rehabilitation, demolition, repair, restoration, or maintenance of roads and bridges, railways, airports, seaports, communication facilities, civil work components of information technology projects, irrigation, flood control and drainage, water supply, sanitation, sewerage, and solid waste management system, shore protection, energy power, electrification facilities, national buildings, school buildings, hospital buildings, and other related construction projects of the government. So we also have IRR, or the implementing rules and regulations, so to be promulgated to accordance with Section 75 of this Act. Then we also have letter M, portal. So when we say portal, refers to a website that aggregates a wide variety of content for the purpose of attracting a large number of users. Then for letter N, procurement, it refers to the acquisition of goods, consulting services, and the contracting for infrastructure projects by the procuring entity. So procurement shall also include the lease of goods and real estate. With respect to real property, this procurement shall be governed so by provision po ng ating Republic Act 8974 entitled an Act to Facilitate. Then, we also have the letter O, which is the procuring entity. It refers to any branch, department, office, agency, or instrumentality of the government, including state, universities, and colleges, government-owned and controlled corporations, government financial institutions, and local government units procuring goods, consulting services, and infrastructure projects. So under Section 6, for the standardization of procurement process and forms. So to systematize the procurement process, avoid confusion, and ensure transparency, the procurement process, including the forms to be used, shall be standardized insofar as practicable. For this purpose, the GPPB shall pursue the development of generic procurement manuals and standard bidding forms, the use of which once issued shall be mandatory upon all procuring entities. So next slide, Josh. So under Article 2, procurement planning, Section 7 po. So for Section 7, procurement planning and budgeting linkages. So budgeting linkage. So all procurement shall be within the approved budget of the procuring entity and should be meticulously and judiciously planned by the procuring entity concerned. So consistent of government, fiscal discipline measures, only those considered crucial to the efficient discharge of governmental functions shall be included in the annual procurement plan to be specified in the IRR. So no government procurements shall be undertaken unless it is accordance with the approved APP or what we call the annual procurement plan of the procuring entity. The annual procurement plan shall be approved by the head of procuring entity and must be consistent with its duly approved yearly budget. So the APP shall be formulated and revised only in accordance with the guidelines set forth in the IRR. So in the case of infrastructure projects, the plan shall be include engineering design and acquisition of right of way. Then under Article 3, Section 8, which is the procurement by electronic means. So procurement by electronic means to promote transparency and efficiency, information and communication technology shall be utilized in the conduct of procurement procedures. So accordingly, there shall be single portal that shall serve the primary source of information on all government procurement. So SHIPS shall serve as the primary and definitive source of information on government procurement. So ito po yung tinatawag natin na PhilGIPS. So ito po yung portal na yon. So further, the GPPB is authorized to approve changes in the procurement process to adopt the improvements in modern technology. So provided that such modifications are consistent with the provisions of Section 3 of this Act to take advantage of the significant built-in efficiencies of the JEPs and the volume discounts inherent in bulk purchasing. So all procuring entities shall utilize the JEPs for the procurement of common supplies in accordance with the rules and procedures to be established by the GPPB. Then under Section 9 po, which is the security, integrity, and confidentiality, of course, the JEP shall ensure the security, integrity, and confidentiality of documents submitted through the system. So it shall include a picture that provides for an audit trail for online transactions and allow the Commission on Audit or the COA to verify the security and integrity of the system at any time. Then for Article 4, competitive bidding, under Section 10, all procurement shall be done through competitive bidding except as provided for Article 16 of this Act, alternative methods of procurement. Then, next slide po. For Article 5, Bids and Awards Committee, ito pinatawag natin na BAC. So, sino-sino daw po yung, for Section 11, sino-sino daw po yung nagko-compose ng ating BAC committee. So, the BAC and its composition, each procuring entity shall establish a single BAC for each procurement. So, the BAC shall have at least 5 members, but not more than 7 members. It shall be chaired by at least a third-ranking permanent official in the procuring entity other than its head, and its composition shall be specified in the IR. So, alternately, as may be deemed fit by the head of the procuring entity, there may be separate BACs where the number of complexity of the items to be procured shall so warrant. So, similar BACs for decentralized and lower level offices may be formed when deemed necessary by the head of the procuring entity. So, the members of the BAC shall be designated by the head of procuring entity. However, in no case shall the approving authority be a member of the BAC. So, unless sooner removed for a cause, the members of the BAC shall have a fixed term of 1 year, reckoned from the date of appointment, renewable at the discretion of the head of the procuring entity. So, in case po na mag-resign, mag-retire, or ma-separate, ma-transfer, magkaroon ng reassignment, ma-remove, magkaroon ng replacement, a replacement shall serve only for the unexpired term, provided that in case of leave of or suspension, the replacement shall serve only for the duration of the leave of suspension or suspension. For justifiable causes, a member shall be suspended or removed by the head of the procuring entity. So, share ko lang po sa amin po sa Tala Hospital po. Sa ang back members po namin ay nagko-compose po ng tig-5 kada level po. So, we have, hindi ko pala mag-present. So, we have for goods, meron po kami tig-5 for medical supplies, for tig-5 rin po for laboratory supplies. So, pag sinabi ng medical supplies kasi magkaiba po yun sa lab supplies. And then for medical equipment, meron din po kaming 5 back members. Then for consulting services, iba rin po siya. Meron din po siyang 5 members. And then for infrastructure, meron po kaming 5 members. Then aside from that, we also have 3 members for technical working group ng infrastructure. So, under Section 12, functions po ng BAC, the BAC shall have the following functions. So, advertise and post the invitation to bid, conduct pre-procurement and pre-bid conferences. So, determine the eligibility of prospective bidders, receive bids, conduct the evaluation of bids, undertake post-qualification proceedings, recommend award of contracts to the head procuring entity or his duly authorized representative, provided that in the event of the procuring entity shall disapprove such recommendations, such disapproval shall be based only on valid, reasonable, and justifiable grounds to be expressed in writing, copy furnished. The BAC recommend the imposition of sanction in accordance with Article 23 and perform such other related functions as may be necessary, including the creation of technical working group from a pool of technical, financial, and or legal experts to assist in the procurement process. So, under Section 13, we have observers. Sino daw po itong mga observers na to? So, to enhance the transparency of the process, the BAC shall, in all stages of the procurement process, invite, in addition to the representative of the Commission on Audit, at least 2 observers to sit in its proceedings. So, 1 from a duly recognized private group in a sector or discipline relevant to the procurement at hand, and the other from a non-government organization, provided, however, that they do not have any direct or indirect interest in the contract to be bid out. So, dapat hindi sila yung isa dun sa mga nagbibid. So, the observers should be duly registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission and should meet the criteria for observers as set forth in the IRR. And then for Section 14, BAC Secretariat, to assist the BAC in the conduct of its functions, the head of the procuring entity shall create a secretariat that will serve as the main support unit of the BAC. So the head of the procuring entity may also designate an existing organic office within the agency to serve as the secretariat. And then Section 15, honoraria of BAC members. The procuring entity may grant payment of honoraria to BAC members in an amount not to exceed 25% of their respective basic monthly salary, subject to availability of funds. For this purpose, the Department of Budget and Management and the DBM shall promulgate the necessary guidelines. Then under Section 16, professionalization of BAC Secretariat and Technical Working Group members, the JTTB shall establish a sustained training program for developing the capacity of the BAC Secretariats and TWG, or the Technical Working Groups of procuring entities, and professionalize the same. Next slide, please. So, public financial management. So, public financial management, or PFM in the Philippine procurement is governed by, of course, with RA 9184. So, key aspect po nito, regulatory framework, we have oversight body. So, regulatory framework, the Government Procurement Reform Act of 2003, RA 9184, modernized and standardized procurement requiring an annual procurement plan, or the ATP, and procurement monitoring report. So, focusing on transparency, accountability, and efficiency, overseen by the Government Procurement Policy, or the GPPB. It aligns with the existing roadmap, digitalizing process with the PhilJEP system, and strengthening budget-to-cash management. So, key elements po nito include competitive bidding in case ng APP, and citizen participatory audits. So, for oversight body, the GPPB chaired by the Department of Budget and Management, or DBM, regulates all government procurement to ensure uniform standards. Then for legal framework, we have Republic Act number 9184, or the GPRA mandates competitive bidding as the default method. For key documents and processes, we have po yung ating ATP, or the annual procurement plan, na nag-ensure that all procurement is budgeted and approved. We also have the PMR, or the Procurement Monitoring Report, used to track compliance and progress. We also have the PhilJEPs, or the Philippine Government Electronic Procurement System. Ito po yung single portal for all government bidding. Then for reform and modernization, PFM roadmap, digitalization, implementation of budget and treasury management system, or BTMS, for real-time, online, and transparent financial transaction. Then strategic focus, strengthening the linkage between planning, budgeting, and procurement to prevent delays and improve efficiency. So, accountability, citizens' participatory audits are encouraged to monitor public expenditure. Then, next slide po. So, for government procurement implementation bottlenecks in the Philippines. So, government procurement in the Philippines represent approximately 20 to 25% of national public expenditure and is a central instrument for development, delivery, infrastructure expansion, and social service provision. While the Government Reform Act, or yung ating pong RA 9184, and the recently enacted new Government Procurement Act, RA 12009, aim to institutionalize transparency, competitiveness, and accountability implementation, bottleneck continue to undermine efficiency, absorptive capacity, and public trust. So this analysis situates procurement bottlenecks within a broader framework of public financial management. Institutional capacity theory, principal agent problems, and regulatory governance. So next slide po. Yung previous slide po pala, sorry. So for analytical framework, we have three theoretical lenses that help explain persistent bottlenecks. So we have number one, the principal agent and collective action problems. So ano daw po ito? So procurement involves multiple principles. Meron po tayong Congress, DBM, oversight agencies, citizens, and agents. Implementing agencies, bids and awards committees, contractors, information asymmetry, weak monitoring, and political interference create space for moral hazard, rent-seeking behavior, and bid rigging and collision. So, for number two, institutional capacity theory, procurement effectiveness depends on technical capacity, organizational maturity, interagency coordination, and digital system readiness. So, weak institutional capacity of the agency and LGU levels produces chronic implementation delays. Then for number three, the regulatory governance trade-offs. The Philippine procurement system prioritizes anti-corruption safeguards, but this often comes at the expense of speed, flexibility, innovation, value for money, optimization. Then overregulation can unintentionally incentivize risk-averse bureaucratic behavior. Next slide po. So we have pre-procurement and planning deficiencies. Meron po yung dalawa. We have letter A, weak project preparation. So, under po ng weak project preparation, meron tayong poor technical specifications. Then, inaccurate cost estimate, yung ating ABC na miscalculate. Then, late procurement planning relative to budget approval. We also have fragmented annual procurement plans, APPs. Nag-result po yan ng failed biddings, rebiddings, cycles, delayed obligation rate. Then we also have letter B, the budget procurement misalignment. So crash programming and procurement scheduling are often not synchronized, resulting in low disbursement rate and end of year spending surge. Then we also have number two, institutional and human capacity gaps. For letter A, we have weak professionalization and of procurement. So, back members often serve on a rotational and ad hoc basis. Yung mga nakakaalam, hindi naiiwan. So, limited specialization in procurement law, contract management, and market analysis. We also have high turnover in LGUs. Procurement remains compliance-driven rather than strategy-driven. And then for letter B, fear of audit and post-audit culture. The Commission on Audit plays critical accountability role, but ambiguities in interpretation of rules. Then strict post-audit enforcement, personal liability fears, lead to bureaucratic paralysis and defensive decision-making. And then for number three, procedural rigidity and transaction cost, we have excessive formalism. So the competitive bidding process is document heavy and procedurally rigid. Even minor errors can invalidate proceedings. Then for letter B, multiple layers of approval, overlapping reviews, legal, technical, budgetary, increased transaction cost, and processing time. For letter C, appeals and protest mechanisms. While important for fairness, these often suspend procurement timeline significantly. Next slide, please. For number four, digital and systems limitations. So, PhilJobs constraints. Although PhilJobs centralized bid posting, it is not fully integrated with financial management system. So, example given natin ito si GIFMIS. Then, limited analytics capabilities, inconsistent compliance across LGUs. Then letter B, partial e-procurement adoption, end-to-end digital procurement. For e-bidding, e-contract management, real-time monitoring is not fully institutionalized. Then for number five, market structure and competition failures. Limited supplier base, particularly outside Metro Manila, competition is thin. So this encourages bid rotation and tacit collusion, leads to higher costs. Then for barrier of MSMEs, complex documentation and capital requirements limit participation of smaller firms. Then for number 6, political economy constraints. So patronage and local political capture. So in some LGUs, procurement decisions reflect political alliances. Then electoral incentives, contractor, politician networks. Ito po yung naranasan natin ngayon sa ating flood control project. Then we have short political time horizons. Electoral cycles incentivize visible short-term projects over long-term infrastructure or reform investment. Then next slide po. So macroeconomic and developmental implications, reform trajectory under RA 12009, policy recommendation. So we have number 1, procurement professionalization framework. So low absorptive capacity of infrastructure budget, then underspending despite available fiscal space, and then so the new Government Procurement Act introduces expanded use of digital procurement, value for money. Ito po yung ating RA 12009. We have value for money, criteria beyond lowest calculated bid, professionalization mechanism, green and sustainable procurement provisions. However, legal reform alone does not resolve. So meron pa rin po tayong capacity, asymmetries, enforcement, unevenness, political economy, distortion. Okay, so we also have for policy recommendations, we have number 1, procurement professionalization framework. So establish a national procurement service course, then mandatory certification of back members, career track procurement specialists, and then shift from compliance-based to performance-based procurement, KPIs tied to procurement cycle time, contract performance monitoring dashboards, and then public disclosure of procurement performance metrics. Then for number 3, full digital integration. So end-to-end procurement platform, integration with budget and treasury systems, open contracting, data standards, or yung ating OCDS. Then for number 4, risk-based audit reform, move from uniform strict review to risk-differentiated auditing. Then clear safe harbor provisions for good faith decisions. For number 5, market development strategies, supplier capacity building programs, MSME access reforms, and then anti-collusion monitoring using data analytics. Then depoliticization safeguards. So independent procurement oversight boards at national and regional levels, transparent beneficial ownership, disclosure for contractors. Then next slide po. So procurement simulation bid evaluation na po tayo, role play. So pa-play po ng next slide video. Wala pong sounds. Okay po, sige po. Skip na lang po natin yan. So, for
Bids will be
procurement,
opened according to their time of
Opo,
submission.
may sound na po.
The BAC shall examine first the technical component. The BAC shall publicly open all bids at the time, date, and place specified in the bidding documents. Bids will be opened according to their time of submission. The BAC shall examine first the technical components of the bids using pass-fail criteria to determine whether all required documents are present. Only bids that are determined to contain all the bid requirements of the technical component shall be considered for opening and evaluation of their financial component. The bid offer which is above the ABC shall be automatically disqualified. The bids that pass the preliminary examination shall be ranked from lowest to highest in terms of their corresponding calculated prices. The bid with the lowest calculated price shall be referred to as the lowest calculated bid in the case of goods and infrastructure and highest rated bid in the case of consulting services. The LCB or HRB will be subjected to post-qualification and thorough evaluation as to its responsiveness to the bid requirements and the technical specifications. LCB or HRB shall submit the following documentary requirements to the BAC 3 days from notice: latest income and business tax returns, certificate of PhilJEPS registration, and other appropriate licenses and permits required by law and stated in the bidding documents.
Nakamute pala ako. Okay, Doc. So, for competitive bidding po, we have po yung ating pong cycle po na tinatawag na yun, yung nakaikot po na yan. So, first, kapag tayo po sa isang agency, may nag-request po siya na, nagpasa po siya ng purchase request sa ating procurement. Si procurement po, i-advertise po niya yan. So, whether it is goods, services, or for infrastructure. Advertise na yan through PhilJEPS. Then, yun yung una pong gagawin ni ating procurement. Diba? And then, after po niyan, kapag may mga nag-bid na po, magkakaroon po tayo ng opening of bids. Yung pangalawa. So, dun po sa ating pre-bid conference, isi-check po dyan kung sino po yung lowest bidder. So, kung halimbawa, January 1, nagkaroon tayo ng opening of bids yung ating pre-bid conference, after one day, magkakaroon tayo ng bid evaluation. So, check nila kung sino yung lowest bidder. And then, after po nun, magkakaroon tayo ng eligibility screening kung si lowest bidder ba na to, kumpleto siya ng mga pinasang requirements, kumpleto ba siya ng yung mga binanggit po na requirements kanina, kumpleto po ba yung papers niya. And then, after eligibility screening, magkakaroon ng post-qualification. So, minimum of 12 to 45 days, check po muna yung quality ng items. So, halimbawa siya nga po yung lowest bidder nung goods na yun, pero yung quality naman po nung product niya ay hindi ganun kaganda. So, within 12 to 45 days after po nung ma-open po yung bid na yun, ma-check po yung quality ng items, magkakaroon tayo ng evaluation of bids and then post-qualification. Sa post-qualification po, kung halimbawa may nakuha na po tayo na bidder, bibigay po tayo ng NOA. So, si NOA po, magkakaroon within 90 to 120 days, kailangan ma-close natin siya. Or else, magkakaroon tayo ng failure of bidding. So, NOA awarded, then pass the performance bond. So, halimbawa na-award na po si services na award na po siya sa isang agency, kailangan po makapagpasa siya ng performance bond. So 25% of total contract price na nila, dapat makapagpasa po siya nun. And then, masign po niya yung contract agreement within 10 days. Then, after po ng passing ng performance bond at saka po ng contract agreement, within 7 days, signing, notice to proceed, and then yung ating purchase order. So, doon po papasok yung award of contract. Then, goods po, kailangan mai-deliver po niya within 7 days. Yung mga supplies, katulad mga gamot, pagkain, equipment, etc. Kapag local po, dito lang siya sa Pilipinas manggagaling, dapat within 30 days after po niya masign yung notice to proceed po natin, tsaka yung ating purchase order, kailangan within 30 days kung ito na siya sa Pilipinas. Kung international pa manggagaling, at least 45 days. So, kapag hindi po nila naipasa yun within that period, liquidated damages, kapag hindi po siya, hihingi po tayo ng liquidated damages. So, may certain amount din po siya at hindi po ito na-deliver ng tamang oras. So, services will be based on contract of agreement. So, that's it po. I think that's it. Ito na po yung last na slide ko. Thank you so much po, Doc Melo and Doc Mace sa pakikinig. Thank you and good afternoon po.
Okay, maraming salamat, no? Again, project implementation, governance, no? And demonstrate the practical capacity of public institution to translate policy decision into tangible public benefits. So, the effectiveness of implementation depends on alignment between project objectives, institutional capabilities, legal compliance, and resource availability. So, let's say, for example, no, the implementation of the Conditional Cash Transfer Program or Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program or PORPIS. It requires coordinations, no, among the department, DSWD, local units, and financial institutions to deliver financial assistance to eligible household. And this large-scale implementation illustrate how administrative coordination and structured implementation system enable government programs to address poverty and improve social welfare organization. Project implementation in government further highlights the essential role of leadership, stakeholder engagement, and adaptive management. In addressing implementation challenges, the public administrators must manage diverse stakeholders, resolve conflicts, and adapt implementation strategies in response to changing political, social, and economic conditions. For instance, the implementation of digital governance initiatives such as the e-government system requires collaboration between IT specialists, government agency, and end users to ensure successful adoption and operational sustainability. So, effective project implementation, of course, represent the critical indicators of governance effectiveness, institutional competence, and government ability to deliver meaningful and sustainable public service outcomes. No? So, I think that's it for this topic. Thank you so much for a well comprehensive discussion and good afternoon.